Well, hello everybody. Jeff Cowan here from Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk. You know, the guy that's trained more successful service advisors and service employees in the automotive industry than anybody else on the planet. Now, that's a fact, and you can check it out. Hey, I'm back here today with a new edition of my podcast entitled Write Service, Write Your Own Paycheck, the path to making over $100,000 a year when writing service in the automotive industry. You know, at this very recording, just over 20% of you are doing just that. You're making over $100,000 a year. Some of you have written in and said you're making $150,000, $200,000 a year, and I've documented it. Congratulations to you doing that. But with 20% of you doing that, that means that nearly 80% of you are not making six figures. So what are we going to do about that? What are you going to do about that if you're one of those 80%? Well, here's what I recommend you do. Watch this podcast. Go back and watch any of the over 100 podcasts I've filmed prior to this and watch those. Go to my website, and it's automotiveservicetraining.com, automotiveservicetraining.com. And between those two entities alone, you'll find all the techniques, processes, word tracks, and tactics you need to become the absolute best in this field. And like I like to say, why would you want to do it if you're not going to be the best? You got to be the best. Why would you want to be anything other? Well, going back to our podcast here, I'm going to pull up a quote here that I've posted, and I'm going to break it down for you and show you how you can turn it into a valuable tool for yourself. This one's a simple one. It just simply says, passive salespeople do not win awards. Now, do you know why that is? It's simple. It's because passive salespeople don't sell anything, and you don't win awards for not selling anything. I mean, if you want to win an award, you got to be a great salesperson. But here's the problem with this. When I bring up things like this, people say, but I don't want to come across as over-aggressive. I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to twist people's arms. I don't want to sell them stuff they don't need. You don't have to. If you've truly studied the art of being a professional salesperson and you practice what you learn, chances are you will never come across as looking at like somebody who doesn't care and who's taking advantage of people. That's really what you're saying. So how do you become a professional salesperson to the point where you get every sale but don't look like you're selling stuff that doesn't need to be sold? You don't look like somebody that's pushy. You're not over-aggressive, and you're not twisting arms. It's actually pretty simple. There's a 5-step process, and here's what it is. How to be persistent without being overly aggressive. Number one, start early and grow your buyers. Now, being in the service industry as a service advisor, this is one of the easiest things to do. What you do is when customers come in for the first time that you've helped them out, you use your process, and your process should include, at the write-up, a walk around of the vehicle where you're doing a quick visual inspection, where you're popping the hood, you're measuring tires, and the like. From the very first time. Now, this is extremely important if you don't want to come across as looking like somebody that's just selling stuff for it to be sold. Why? I know, like you know, when somebody brings in their car and it's only got 5,000 miles on it, that you're not going to find anything wrong with it. You can take that out to 10, 15, 20,000 miles outside the routine maintenance and the very simple maintenance. Chances are in those first 3 to 4 visits, you're going to find nothing wrong. So why do all that stuff and go through those actions if you know you're not going to find anything and there's nothing to close? Because you're building credibility and growing your customers and growing their trust. Think about it. Customer comes in at 5,000 miles. I walk around their vehicle. I measure their tires. I pop their hood. When I'm done with that, you know what I say? I say this, Mr. Customer, I just got through walking around your vehicle, and guess what I found? Now, when you say that to somebody that only has 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 miles on their car, what do you think happens? I can tell you, their stomach sinks, their heart stops. Oh my gosh, he found something, but you followed up with this. I found exactly what I thought I was going to find. It looks like to me you've got a great car here. There's nothing out of the ordinary. We'll do the oil change for you the way we've promised, and I'll put it in the shop, and they'll do a much more detailed inspection, but I'm pretty sure they're going to find the same thing, that you've got a great car here. Now, what's the benefit in doing that? What you're doing when you do that is you're telling the customer this: I coulda, but I didn't. I've got your concern in my heart. I'm doing this, taking time out of my day, knowing that I have nothing to sell, because I want to make sure that your car is in great running order. Because when you do that first visit, what you're going to do is you're walk around the car, you're going to show them what you're looking at. When you're popping here, you're going to show them what you're looking at and what you're looking for. Mr. Customer, I want you to see this. You can see it's in perfect condition, but sometime over the next 6 or 7 visits, it's going to start doing this. When it starts doing that, that's when we need to talk about getting that repaired and getting that out of there and servicing it. But right now, we seem to be okay. But we'll look at it every time, and when it gets closer, we'll talk about it. Now, why is that beneficial to do and so important to do? Because when they come in, that 7th or 8th or 9th visit, whatever it is, you pop the hood, you don't even have to say anything. They'll look at it and say, hey, it looks like that part's doing what you said it would do, and we probably need to talk about getting that taken care of, right? They sell themselves. You don't look aggressive. All right, so start early and grow buyers. Number 2, use your show and tell tools. That's one of the best things about doing a walk around and popping hoods and measuring tires is because, if I call a customer, I don't walk around their car, and I call them up later in the day and say, you need a new belt and hoses because yours are worn out. Now what I'm asking them to do is make a decision based on whether or not they trust me. Because they're thinking in their mind, I've not had any problems. There's not been any smells, no lack of performance, no noises, so do I really need this, or are they just trying to sell me something? But instead, when you pop that hood, or you look at something on the car and you say, you see that, and they see it, it's no longer a question whether or not this needs to be done. The only question is, are you a strong enough closer to get them to say yes? And the easiest way to get them to say yes is go back to number 1. Start early and grow buyers and use your show and tell tools. And by the way, we don't have the time to go into it, but video is a great show and tell tool. Number 3, discuss the benefits that are important to your customer. This is another major mistake I see new service advisors make. They learn 2 or 3 benefits about a product, and every customer comes in, they share those same 2 or 3 benefits. And that's great if those 2 or 3 benefits are important to the customer, but if they're not, they're meaningless. So you have to find out what's important to the customer. What's the benefits they're looking for? Now the question I get here is, well, Jeff, how do you find out what benefits are important to your customer? And unfortunately today we don't have the time to go into it, but we have a signature part of our training. If you've ever watched it, been to one of my workshops, or had one of my trainers come in. And one of the signature parts of it is the way we show people how to build rapport. Because if you build rapport the right way, not only will you start and establish a relationship that's long-lasting with your customers, but you'll find out exactly what they're thinking and what is important to them. And once you find that out, you can then share the benefits to them with them that are important to them. It's the only way to do it. You should check out our training if you've not seen that. And then number 4, get a higher authority involved. Now, there's nothing wrong. You present everything to a customer, after the text looked at it, or you've seen it on the service drive. There's nothing wrong with later in the day when you call the customer and they say, you know what, we're just going to hold off on what you're recommending there. We're going to come and pick up their car. There's nothing wrong with a higher authority. A drive manager, a senior advisor, a technician, a service manager, a fixed operations director, there's nothing wrong with a higher authority call in and say, look, I just wanted to do a follow-up call. I know you've been talking to Jeff, and I know he made these recommendations based on what our expertly trained technician found. And I also understand that you decided you wanted to pass on those today, but in going over this, these are so important. I just wanted to make sure that everybody's on the same page here. There's nothing wrong with doing that. What it shows your customers is we care so much, we're going to get management involved, and they see it as just that if it's handled the right way. And then number 5, follow up. Let's say you even get the higher authority involved and they still say no. You should always follow up with your customers, especially when they buy everything, but even more importantly, when they don't buy everything. What's that sound like? You have to call them within 24 to 48 hours. If you've watched our training, you know why that's significant. We don't have time to go into it here, but 24 to 48 hours after they've been in, they've declined some services. Here's what that phone call sounds like. Hey, Mr. Customer, I'm calling you tonight because you had your vehicle in my shop just 2 days ago and had a few things done, and I'm assuming that everything went the way you thought it should, and you're happy. If they say yes, proceed. If they say no, then hand it off to a manager. But if they say, yeah, I like everything that was done, well, good. Because the other reason I'm calling is because when you're in, we talked about having this done to your vehicle, and you said you wanted to think about it. Now that you've had a day or two to think about it, I was wondering if I could go ahead and schedule you in sometime later this week or next week to get that taken care of. We found if you just say that to a customer in a follow-up call within 24 to 48 hours, 60% of them will come back in. Now think about all the people that turn things down, and you could get 60% of them to come back in with a simple call like that, and you're not looking aggressive because they see it as you just caring about them. So, passive salespeople don't win awards because they don't close anything. If you want to close everything, you want to close the maximum that you can, then it's real simple to do. All you have to do to look persistent without looking over aggressive is start early and grow your buyers. Use your show and tell tools. Make sure you discuss the benefits that are most important to them. Get a higher authority involved if necessary, and then make sure that you follow up. Hey, this is Jeff Cowan here from Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk, and I just remind you that we do all these different services here on the Service Drive. If you want to know how we can help you become the absolute best you can be, give us a call. It's real simple at 1-800-248-2931. Again, 1-800-248-2931. And anybody that picks up that phone can share with you how we can help you and your team become the absolute best in the business. You can also go to automotiveservicetraining.com, automotiveservicetraining.com, and get the information there. So for today, this is Jeff Cowan signing off, wishing you a good day. God bless you, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.